My brother isn't a religious man, and he never has been. But one day he said something that completely surprised me. He said, "I think dogs are angels on earth, a gift from God." I nodded in agreement and replied, "Yep." Clearly my reply wasn't as profound as what he said, but I really wasn't prepared for that. Only someone that has never had a dog would ask, do dogs love? They love. They experience joy and happiness. Dogs can sense your moods, and they seem to always know what you're thinking. Dogs are loyal, and they protect you. They play jokes on you and make you laugh. Dogs can heal your spirit and enrich your soul. So yes, dogs can love. And this is a story about my dogs. I didn't get a dog until I was about 40. Her name was Emma, and she was an Australian Shepherd. It took both of us a long time to get used to each other. Emma was 6 months old when I got her, and she was out of control. And I was impatient, and I felt like I lacked empathy. And that was one of the reasons I got her. Emma's previous owner couldn't handle her. At night, Emma would sneak into the pantry and remove all the labels from the cans. And then she would work on the boxes. Emma would also run out of the house, and they'd have to chase her down. Only later I realized she loved to play hide and seek. And the only way to catch her was if you were the one hiding. I think the reason I wanted a dog was because my daughter was 14 now, and I wasn't finished being a dad. I needed someone to take care of, and Emma, she needed someone to understand that she was a hyperactive, very intelligent, free spirit. We ended up teaching each other a lot. Emma, she should have been named Houdini, because she was a master escape artist. She was either going over or under the 6-foot fence in the backyard. Each day I came home from work, the neighbors and the postman would tell me about Emma's adventures. She chased squirrels and rabbits. She'd paw at people's doors for treats and water, and then return home where I'd find her sleeping in her bed. Once my daughter ran in the house and yelled, "Dad, Emma's bouncing on the trampoline and jumped over the fence." I said, "Come on," I really didn't believe it until I saw it for myself. After that, I moved the trampoline away from the fence, but it didn't help. Emma, she always found another way. I was told by different sources that I needed a crate trainer. I just didn't have the heart because when I found her, she was living in a crate. It got to the point where I just had to lock Emma in the house and clean the poop up because it was worth cleaning up her mess than it was worrying about her getting hurt. Quickly, I realized I was wrong. Emma, she loved to play basketball. She would grab the ball with her paws. She liked frisbee and chasing tennis balls, and she loved to wrestle the Dobermans in the dog park. Every weekend we attended a dog park on the lake where I'd watch her exhaust the other dogs, playing chase and getting in wrestling matches with dogs twice her size. One day I was talking to a man that also had an Aussie, and he pointed over to a picnic table where 2 people were having their lunch. Both people turned around to look at their dog, and Emma hopped up on top of the table, scooped up their lunches, and ran away. When they turned around to face their lunch, it was gone, and they just sat there frozen, trying to process what happened. I could have told them what happened. Don't bring your lunch to a dog park. Another time I was at the dog park, a large Doberman bit me in the arm. Emma, she appeared from nowhere, grabbed his upper lip and slammed his head into the dirt. He whimpered and then ran away. I was shocked. I'd never seen that side of her before, and I was proud of her. Well, after that day, our trips to the dog park were coming to an end. Emma stopped playing with the other dogs, and she would only sit beside me and run off any dog that got too close. Yeah, she got too aggressive to the other dogs, and sure if it was because that dog bit me or she turned 3 years old, just like the book said. It said once they turn 3, they'll stay beside you and not leave. And we stopped going to the dog park. Emma became the joy of me and my daughter's life. We'd even fight over to see who Emma slept with that night. My daughter was an only child, and Emma was like her sister. And I think Emma felt the same way about Caitlin, too. Emma didn't mind going back and forth to both sides of the house, because there was always treats in it for her. Caitlin would eventually grow up and go to college and start her own life. She soon got her own dog named Hamlet, and then sneak over my house and kidnap Emma for a week at a time. Like with many parents that want another child, I too wanted another dog, and I got a German Shepherd puppy named Kade. Kade was more of a handful than Emma ever was. He chewed through the wall, several sofas and chairs. He would run circles around the backyard, and he swam 2 or 3 times a day in the pool. In the morning, he would jump in the pool, run up on my bed, and shake directly over me while I was still asleep. Kade made Emma a nervous wreck. Emma being a nanny dog as she was, and Kade being a young, energetic German Shepherd. She thought it was her responsibility to raise him. Kade quickly grew larger than Emma could handle, so she'd tell on him instead. When I mean tell on him, whenever he was doing something wrong, Emma would come and stare at me until I acted. After a while, I started noticing Emma doing odd things with him. Like she'd roll his ball into the pool, he'd jump in and get it, and she wouldn't let him out, like she was trying to drown him. I bought Kade from a pet store where the little guy was in quarantine because somebody returned him. It was their policy to put him in quarantine when they came back. The previous owner said that their daughters were allergic to him. I took him home, and the next morning I stared across the living room where he dismantled all the couch pillows and spread the stuffing all over the living room floor. I said out loud, allergies, I bet. Once Kade reached 2 years of age, he calmed down and became a wonderful companion. We have a lot of bears that sleep in our yard. One night I was taking Kade and Emma for a walk. We walked out the door, turned the corner, and directly in front of us was a very large bear. Before I could react, Kade lunged at the bear, dragging Emma and I behind him. The bear made a brief attempt to scare Kade, but then ran up an oak tree. After that, I realized and respected the protecting bond between dog and people. Kade could have easily been killed by the bear, but he didn't hesitate to protect me. I should also mention the same dog was afraid of the refrigerator because it made a knocking sound one time, and he thought it was a door to another room, so he sat and barked at it. Kade was a present to a woman that I was engaged to at the time. We broke up, and I reluctantly had to let him go with her. German Shepherd dogs aren't for everyone. In fact, they may not even be for me. It is true that they are loyal and protective and a great family pet. German Shepherds typically only bond with one family and are dangerous to other people. There is a definite difference between a well-bred dog and getting one from a puppy mill. It's worth the money to purchase one from a good breeder. Otherwise, you end up with the next 4 dogs I had. With this disclaimer out of the way, my next German Shepherd, her name is Maya. Maya, even as a young puppy, was a bit mental. If ever there is a spectrum for a dog, Maya was on it. She only loved me and attacked anyone that wasn't me. My daughter, my brothers, my parents, the neighbors. I tried to train her out of that. I even took her to a professional German Shepherd trainer. But she never overcame the need to protect me to the death. Therefore, I had to keep her away from people. I remember once my daughter saying, "Darn, I was going to try to pet her this year." Then came Aiden. When Maya was about a year old, I adopted Aiden, an 11-month-old German Shepherd dog. Aiden was owned by a sweet girl named Angela, but because of her living conditions, she couldn't keep Aiden, and he sat in a small crate all day. In fact, when I got him, he seemed to have problems walking correctly and running. His hind legs look underdeveloped. One day, I noticed something interesting. Maya and Aiden were out in the backyard, and she was teaching him how to run. She would trot away about 20 feet, stop and turn, and he'd follow her, back and forth every day until Aiden could run well. Soon he became faster than she was. Next, she taught him how to swim in the pool. They swam so much that the pool cleaner charged extra for all the hair. Meanwhile, I met my wife-to-be, Jennifer. Aiden and Maya also fell in love with Jennifer and her 2 sons. Soon, it was clear that dogs loved Jennifer more than me, except for Emma, of course. And Jennifer always wanted to do the test. The test is where you stand on each side of the room and call the dog, and whoever the dogs come to is who they love the most. This was a deciding factor to marry her. If the 2 German Shepherds that hate everyone instantly fell in love with her and her sons, then there was something special about Jennifer. What I didn't know at the time was Aiden was more protective than Maya, and dangerous to anybody that wasn't me or Jennifer or my daughter or her 2 sons. Once I realized he was a biter, I asked the girl I got him from, "Why didn't Aiden bite me when I first met him?" She said, "Well, he did attack you, but you grabbed him by the scruff of his neck and started playing with him on the floor, and he just became your buddy." I thought, wow, I don't even know when I'm being attacked. Aiden came pre-trained. Angie taught him all the usual tricks, and he became the most loving dog, except for he will bite you. Maya and Aiden became a couple of sorts, even though they were both fixed. They played together, they slept together, and at night she will hold him down and clean his ears, despite his growling protest. Still, taking Aiden and Maya to the vet is a family event, one that we don't look forward to. I would try to tell the vets that they fear bite, but they would always dismiss my warnings. Once I said, "If they bite you, you can't sue me, right?" They just went silent. I said, "That's a yes or no question." I would have to put muzzles on them that they always pulled out of. One time, the vet and her assistant walked in the room, and Aiden pooped everywhere. Embarrassed, I said, "I told you to sit." I then looked up at the 2 people and said, "He doesn't hear very well." Then on one visit, the vet suggested that I leave the room while she looks at Aiden alone. She thought that perhaps he was responding to my nervousness, and the instinct to protect me was behind his aggressive behavior. So I left the room and I sat uncomfortably in the waiting room and listened for blood-curdling screams. Then they called me back. Aiden was fine. She was right. They even clipped his fingernails. And then came Max. One day, a friend of mine, who was also a local news reporter, was doing a story on the local dog pound. He messaged me and said there was a white German Shepherd with heartworms that I would love. You know, I didn't want any more dogs. But he was sick and no one wanted him. And because of the expense of the heartworm treatment, they would most likely put him down. So I took Max home. We started the heartworm treatment the next day. Oh, he was thin, he had a lot of hair loss, and he could barely put together a smile. The treatment was successful, and he became the dog you see here today. Max is a 105-pound, pure white German Shepherd that is always happy and he's always smiling. Oh, Emma, she suddenly found herself surrounded by a wolf pack of German Shepherds. But with time, she grew to hate German Shepherds. I remember talking to a man one time that said he rescued 3 mixed dogs. He told me that the dogs he rescued had always showed him the most love and appreciation. With Max, he was correct. Every time Max would enter a room, he would greet me first by licking my hand or arm. In time, it was abundantly clear he also loved Jennifer more. I'm glad they loved Jennifer so much, but I'm the one that rescued them all. I should take a moment to talk about the risk of dog hoarding. Having 4 dogs can put you on the fast track to becoming a dog hoarder. Even more dangerous, having 4 large dogs can create a copious amount of poop, and you have to have a strong stomach to manage it. Sadly, I do not. But happily, Jennifer does. I brag to people that I can pick up so much poop that I can comfortably sit through an autopsy. But that's not the truth. Jennifer can sit through an autopsy. I only lie about that in shame. Pool time with 4 dogs is something of an event. Max doesn't like to swim, although he will walk along the beach or lake. Aiden and Maya can't be trusted to mingle with decent society. They don't like leaving the property anyway. However, they do love to ride around the block in the car as long as it's not more than 10 minutes so they can get back home. While Maya and Aiden swim, Max will run around the pool after them. Emma will roll tennis balls at them and in the pool, hoping that they will drown themselves. Emma knows she isn't a German Shepherd, but she isn't quite sure if she's not human. Suffering from empty nest syndrome is bad for me and Jennifer, but tremendously good for the dogs.